we're live again. Good evening, folks. Mobile Geezer here. And if you're new here, welcome to Friday Night Tech Talk. We do this every Friday at this time. I pick some articles that we can discuss. You guys generally do your discussing in the comments. And if we're lucky, sometimes we get Ted in here with me. And occasionally we'll get Will and or by some miracle, even Mike. But most of the time, it's just me and you guys chatting in the comments. So if you're new, please let us know where you're from and say hello in the comments. And I try to come up with articles every week that I think would be interesting to other tech heads like myself. And or if there's a big event, which there certainly was this week, we go over that. And that's what we're going to do this week. But as I do every week, I will show you my website where you can follow the show notes. So if you go to mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, just click on today's date. You'll get just the show notes for tonight's show, and you can follow along there, and you can click on the articles with me. And as I do every week, I'll give you a little preview of what we're going to talk about. And most of the time, as I did tonight, I'll start with an interesting story, not the big story. The big story is usually, or the big article is usually the second, giving people a chance to get in. So we've already got Brian in here. He was the first one in. Nobody else has come in as yet. But yeah, I'll be talking about that in a few minutes, Brian. Okay, so let me give you guys a preview of what we're going to talk about tonight. So starting with something just interesting. Apple mmWave still limited to the U.S. I didn't even realize that mmWave on Apple phones was only limited to the U.S., but I guess that's still true and has been true for a while. So I found that story on Android Headlines. We'll check that out. Then, of course, the big event of the week, the ore-dropping event from Apple. And I just said everything announced at the ore-dropping event. And, of course, there's so many choices. I picked CNET's article. So we'll go over that. And then we'll go over what I ordered this morning. And following that, we're going to have an article from TechRadar just highlighting the iPhone 17, which is the one that I ordered this morning. And following that, an interesting article. You guys know I have the Pixel 10, but they had a daily hub feature, which I have hardly had time to look at, and Google has already removed it, supposedly temporarily. I just thought it was interesting. So we'll take a quick look at that on Phone Arena. And then I've got a follow-up from last week's. We went over the chat control, or at least the law the EU is trying to pass. And I've got another article from TechRadar this week, the European Union getting closer to making it law. But there are more countries standing up against it too, so we'll go over that. Now, I did follow that up with another article I found of a bunch of scientists and researchers that 500 of them that have are standing up against the law. We may not go over that one because I found that it has a lot of the same stuff in both articles, but we may just take a quick look at it. That was also on TechRadar. And we're going to finish up with, and I only included this because I thought if they're being protested at Apple, we should know about it. Look at the size of the thing these guys made up for the protest. New iPhone still spreading child sexual abuse. I disagree with their premise, but we'll see. But I did think since I already made a video congratulating Apple on coming up with good prices this week, and I'm going to be talking more good things about them, but just for the ordering process today. So I said, well, if somebody's protesting them, I should let people know about it. So that's why that's there. So nothing else new. And let me double check once more to make sure Ted hasn't or anybody else hasn't answered in the comments. And so far, nothing from Ted or Will or Mike. And of course, Will just drops in when he can, and he's usually working when he does. So if he does, still grateful. So we'll start with our first story. Apple mmWave still limited to the U.S. Like I said, it was on Android headlines. Let's go take a look. Apple limits faster mmWave 5G to U.S. iPhone 17 models. And like I said, I believe this has been going on for a couple of years. I didn't even know it. And this was written by Sai Krishna, published September 11th, well, yesterday. So let's drop this into Reader View and get rid of these ads. Okay. iPhone 17 series finally launched alongside a bunch of other products like the Watch Series 11, Ultra 3, SE 3, and AirPods Pro 3. New iPhones mean new Apple Silicon, and this time they're the A19 and A19 Pro. The Pro and Pro Max variants bring a brand new design and colors. Despite all this, the faster mmWave 5G connectivity is available only for iPhone 17 models in the US. For the rest of the world, Apple limits the connectivity to sub-6 gigahertz 5G. Like I said, I didn't know that until now. Apple introduced 5G support with iPhone 12, and since then, mmWave has been a US-only feature. iPhone 12, a while ago. Apple still isn't expanding it to other parts of the world. Having said that, mmWave adoption is not quite there yet. It is still growing in regions like China, South Korea, Australia, Japan, and parts of Europe. The cost of equipping devices with mmWave hardware, and I gather that's very expensive, and the expense of building mmWave networks make a wider rollout impractical, as per Apple. This is in countries where the adoption of the said connectivity is low. mmWave shows its prowess in crowded environments. The mmWave technology shows its prowess in crowded environments like stadiums, concerts, and airports, among others. On the downside, it offers short range and can't quite penetrate obstacles. Yes, sometimes it can't even penetrate bodies. This makes it less practical in suburban and similar environments. This could be a reason why Apple is taking its sweet time to bring the faster mmWave 5G connectivity to more regions. Brian said, interesting move by Apple with the mmWave. Yeah, I had no idea until I ran into this story. The new iPhone Air introduces Apple's custom C1X modem, which also lacks mmWave 5G connectivity. Apple seems to have its clarity when it comes to mmWave rollout. What this means is that useless infrastructure sees drastic changes. mmWave could be exclusive to the US, where iPhone 17 users can enjoy lightning-fast 5G speeds. So I just thought it was interesting that it's limited just to the US. So, and I think mainly mmWave is on Verizon here in the US, and I haven't used mmWave, but I'm very happy with my T-Mobile coverage, and that has been by far the best 5G coverage. So, now we're going on to the big story of the week. And yes, I ordered the iPhone 17 this morning, and I want to give more kudos to Apple because, my phones of the day were, my main phone was the OnePlus 13, and my backup phone today was the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which is the phone I'm going to that I traded in for the iPhone 17. But I need to give more congrats to Apple because most of you know I work on Fridays, and since I work for Enterprise, usually the first thing we do in the morning on Fridays here in Chattanooga, we start moving cars back and forth to the airport, which is a couple of blocks from where we keep the cars. And we bring over the cleans, bring back the dirties, and we probably do that the first hour or so on Fridays. So 2 years ago, when I got this iPhone 15 Pro Max, that's exactly how I was doing. I was riding back in the car, putting this order in while I was working. And of course, when Apple's pre-orders come up, well, the whole world is trying to do it at the same time. And it took me about 20, 25 minutes 2 years ago to get my order to go through for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Well, in the last 2 years, somebody, now of course I skipped the 16, so I didn't have to deal with it, but somebody has done a good job because last night or yesterday, I was able to get on and fill out all my stuff as if I was ordering the phone, and the only thing you couldn't do was the last step, which would be place the order. But I was able to pick my phone, what phone I was trading in, and everything was done by this morning. And it even had a message to me, said, okay, you know what to do at 5 a.m. Pacific time on Friday morning, get on and complete your order. So as soon as the 8 o'clock came here, because 5 a.m. Pacific is 8 o'clock for me here in Tennessee, I got on, I was working, and in 30 seconds, my whole thing was done because all I really had to do was hit two buttons, and it took everything I put in yesterday, and the order was already in. So I wanted to give Apple kudos for how well they've made it and how easy they've made it. So my iPhone 17 will be on its way, and the next story will be strictly about the iPhone 17, and then we'll talk about why I chose that. Meanwhile, everything announced at the Ore Dropping event, just like I said, a pick CNET. Everything announced at Apple Event 2025, iPhone Air, iPhone 17, AirPods Pro 3, and new Apple Watches. And this was written by Lori Grunin. And Apple's annual September reveal of its latest mobile devices featured the brand new iPhone Air, AirPods Pro 3 with heart rate sensing, the iPhone 17 lineup, and new Apple Watches. So into reader view we go. Each September, Apple's product release playbook dials up the unveiling of the company's newest line of iPhones, along with a variety of complementary gadgets. On Tuesday, the company took the wrap off the iPhone 17 in all its variations, most notably the new skinny iPhone Air, along with new Apple Watches Series 11 and Ultra 3, and an upgrade to its 2-year-old AirPods Pro 2 earbuds. Now, I won't be getting the Series 11 because I have the Apple Watch Series 10, and I also have the AirPods Pro 2. Probably not going to get them because I have a lot of earbuds. Along with the hardware, Apple is rolling out the new versions of the device's respective operating systems. iOS 26, watchOS 26, both of which been in public beta all summer. The final version of iOS 26 will be available on Monday, September 15th. Yeah, my phone right now is saying it should be here by next Friday. Now, sometimes they get it there earlier, but that's what it's saying. And one of my friends in England, one of the subscribers in England, Steve, he ordered the same phone, and his is also supposed to get there by next Friday. So I guess that's the default. The new liquid glass interface design may even seem routine to you by now. Many of the new devices' capabilities come from new features in their operating systems, and throughout, Apple stressed health and fitness as one of the primary drivers. It de-emphasized how many of the features analysis capabilities, notably most of the new heart rate sensing and live translation in the AirPods Pro 3, really rely on the iPhone for their heavy lifting. Given Apple's struggles with its AI efforts, especially given how much it stressed Apple Intelligence at previous events, the company came as close to downplaying as it could. There was only the occasional mention of features being driven by AI and the increased neural power in the new A19 Pro processor. And despite no discussion of smart home tech, there was a brief hint in the iPhone Air announcement. iPhone 17 boasts a better screen. The update to Apple's most mainstream model comes in pastel colors. Notably, the base iPhone 17 now has ProMotion. We'll be discussing that in the next article. Display, which was formerly only on the Pro models. The screen is larger, 6.3 inches, and brighter, 3000 nits, with an improved scratch and glare resistant coating. ProMotion has been a much wanted upgrade, and I think there's probably some dancing going on right now. A lot of people are praising them for putting the ProMotion in the base iPhone. Inside, it incorporates the A19 chip with a 5-core GPU and adds fast charging. Brian says promotion move was much needed. The promotion move, yeah, I agree very much. People are very, very happy about that. The new front camera has an 18 megapixel square sensor. Yeah, more on that in the next article. For more flexibility in framing, alongside a larger field of view to enable center stage and stabilization. It still has two cameras, though. The main camera is bumped to 48, which used to be 12, via dual fusion or 24 megapixels as standard. It starts at $799 in the US. The 16E remains in the line at $599, and all the phones are available for pre-order now. And it's £799 in the UK and $13.99 in Australia. The iPhone Air is thin but powerful. I've been seeing a lot of talk about the iPhone Air, but pretty much everybody agrees the 17 is the one to get unless you're a tech reviewer who just has to have this thin phone, which I don't. Thin seems to be in for phones this year, at least for manufacturers, since buyers don't seem to be quite as interested, and iPhone buyers even less so. Did anyone ask for a super thin phone? But in the continuing absence of a foldable iPhone model, what's the company to do? Behold the iPhone Air at 5.6 millimeters thick. And let's see if I take this out of reader view while we see it. Okay, and you can see right there how very thin it is. It really, really is thin. I guess it's even thinner than the Galaxy S25 Edge. So just wanted to let you guys see how thin it looked in somebody's hand. It has a polished titanium frame and ceramic shield on both sides, which makes some people just want to touch it. Yeah, everybody who picked up that phone, at least at the event, seems to just love the way it feels, and a lot of them seem to be buying it. According to the company, it's almost entirely battery on the inside, with Apple claiming all-day battery life. Oh, by the way, MKBHD said all the other phones are better phones than the iPhone Air. And what Tech Odyssey said, it's a beautiful impractical phone. It's got high-end specs too, a 6.5-inch ProMotion XDR display, and the A19 Pro processor found in the Pro models. The processor incorporates neural accelerators into each GPU core, 6 of them, bigger caches, and more, giving it quite a bit of computing power. So I guess you can play games on it. A new N1 chip and C2 modem improve connectivity, Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and power conservation. The device has 48 megapixel fusion and 12 megapixel wide angle cameras, the center stage front camera, and a way to combine front and back cameras live. And I think you can take both front and back at the same time, even on the iPhone 17 model. I'm not sure of that. It seems confusing to me. It requires all new accessories, including a MagSafe pack. It sounds like they made this MagSafe pack because they knew the battery life was going to be bad. That's what some people are speculating. 80 hours and a thin translucent case. It starts at $999, so $1,000. 17 Pro and Pro Max deliver a love letter to videographers. The flagship iPhone Pro models tend to differ only by screen size, now 6.3 and 6.9, so 6.3 is the same as the regular one. And their unique features are made possible by their higher powered processor, more flexible camera arrays, and other component differences over the lower end models. Yeah, and this time they made the base one so good, I just didn't even think about the pros. Like the Air, the iPhone 17 Pro uses an A19 Pro processor, and the regular one uses just an A19, not a Pro. With updated cooling and thermal management, a vapor chamber, and yeah, the vapor chamber is the big deal here, and has a ceramic shield back and front. Apple promises 39 hours of video playback. The cameras are usually the highlight of the Pro, and that remains true. It has an 18 megapixel front center stage camera and a triple camera fusion telephoto system with three 48 megapixel cameras, including a 4x by 8x telephoto for a maximum of 200 millimeter equivalent. These phones can capture ProRes RAW and GenLock, the synchronized camera for video, which should tickle the fancy of pro videographers. The Pros now come in orange. People are either loving the orange or hating the orange, which isn't everyone's favorite. And there's a new 2 terabyte storage option. They'll start at $1,100. But if you go up to 2 terabytes, I think it goes up to like 2,000. I don't know anybody who's getting that. Apple Watch Series 11, Watch SE, and Watch Ultra 3 get redesigns. The Apple Watch Series 10 is our editor's choice for smartwatches. The next generation Watch Series 11 shrinks the thickness with a more scratch-resistant front glass. It has 5G support and better power management for up to 12 hours of battery life. A new Flow watch face takes advantage of liquid glass visuals. It adds blood pressure tracking based on blood flow to find indicators of high blood pressure and sleep score from watchOS 26. Prices start at $399. There are new bands and new colors too. It's been 3 years since the last iteration of the Watch SE. Yeah, before I had the Series 10, I had the SE. Now we get the Watch SE 3 with the new S10 chip with 5G wireless. People seem to be fairly impressed with the SE, so that's good. It still delivers 18-hour battery life and it's always on display. There's wrist temperature sensing for ovulation tracking. It gets sleep apnea tracking, sleep score, and more. Prices start at $249. Now, most of you know I don't wear my watch when I'm sleeping, but I also don't snore, so I don't really need it much at my health level. And Eleanor's in here. Glad you made it. So you and Brian are the two that got in here so far. So I'm going over the stuff that Apple announced this week. Apple's top-of-the-line smartwatch, the Ultra 3, that's the expensive one, is updated over the Watch Ultra 2 with a wide-angle OLED. Smaller bezels mean more display area. Apple has given it emergency-related satellite connectivity, which is great, which required a new antenna and receiver. It also comes with increased battery life. Prices start at $800, which we all knew that anyway, I think. AirPods Pro 3 upgrade includes live translation. I wore my AirPods Pro 2 all day at work today. The AirPods Pro 2 version, released in 2023, offered only incremental hardware upgrades over the 2022 models, hence the lack of a name change. The AirPods Pro 3 are smaller with an updated design that introduces foamish ear tips. I probably like that. With better noise isolation and upgraded active noise cancellation, live translation with the earbuds, which is cool, with adaptive active noise canceling for better focus on the speaker, 5 sizes of ear tips, and IP57 water resistance. Fitness enhancements include heart rate and calorie tracking, among other updates which come from iOS. Battery life increases to 8 hours with active noise canceling and 10 hours with transparency. So, sounds good. The live translation can be somewhat awkward, though. Didn't know that. Or as CNET's Macy Meyer puts it, it's fluent inconvenience, not culture. The price hasn't changed. They still start at $249. Yeah, I got my Pro 2s on sale a year and a half ago, I guess. And notable new accessories for the phones. The iPhone Air debuts with new accessories. If you want to keep it thin and still have some level of protection, Apple is offering a $39 polycarbonate bumper. They won't say rubber, they have to say polycarbonate bumper that wraps around the edges. Aside from drop protection, I know I need it simply to keep the slight phone from slipping out of my hands. There is also a traditional $49 clear MagSafe case, along with an opaque Beats branded polycarbonate case for $45. If for some reason you want to turn your ultra thin phone into a thicker one with longer battery life, you can pick up the $99 MagSafe battery. The redesign of the camera section of the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max means it needs a new case design, and in addition to all the newly designed versions of the usual cases, Apple introduced a $59 MagSafe case made of a new tech woven material. That sounds nice because I like the tech woven stuff. I just don't like it $59 worth. Colored yarns of recycled polyester woven into a textured material and coated with polyurethane or PTU. Presumably, it will fare better than the fine woven cases Apple released for the iPhone 15. Yeah, I gather they started falling apart kind of quickly, and people were not happy about that. You can also get a novel for Apple $59 Beats kickstand case, which looks like the standard polycarb case. The kickstand, though, isn't a kickstand. It's a hand strap with a small bit on the end so you can use it for standing the case on its side. The kickstand also comes in a version for the iPhone 17. For many of the iPhone cases Apple launched yesterday, the company introduced magnetic attachment points that makes them compatible with its new $59 cross-body strap. On one hand, I'm not sure I want to trust my $1,200 phone to some magnets or my propensity to walk into walls and doorways. I'm with him on that. On the other, it's probably safer than my back pocket. So that was everything announced, and pretty exciting. I'd say this year they did better with upgrades and prices than they've done in years. I think everybody's pretty excited about it. Everybody's pretty happy about everything they did, including me. And I thought about today, I haven't been this excited for an iPhone since the iPhone 11. The iPhone 11 really uh, got me excited. And I kept the iPhone 11, didn't get the 12. I skipped the 12, and then I had the 13. I skipped the 14, and now I have the 15 Pro Max, and now I skipped the 16. So now I have the 17 coming, trading in the 15 Pro Max. And this is the first time in a long time that I've gotten the base model, the cheaper model, of both the Apple iPhone and the Pixel 10. And I think both have gotten so good, I don't need any more than that or spend any more money than that. Here's Brian being Brian, you're so faithful, sir. I appreciate it. Brian said, let's see, some sometimes, wait, I'm losing it. Okay, sometimes the order of words are different depending on the language. A lot of translations are verbatim in the order of words, yielding awful results. Okay, that's the problem with the translation with the earbuds, I gather. So he's got experience with it. I don't. At some point, I'm going to try to make a quick demo like I did a couple of years ago with Eleanor, with her speaking German, and we'll do a translation with the Pixel 10. Because the exciting thing for me about that is that not only does it translate it, but it translates it with the sound of your voice, which I gotta say how well that works. So we'll see when I can get to that. So that was the entire event. Now we're going to go to the iPhone 17, which is what I have coming, and supposedly it'll be here by next Friday. So we'll see about that. iPhone 17, the upgrades add up to value, and they gave me a nice chunk of money from my iPhone 15 Pro Max. Of course, I'm trading in the expensive one for the cheapest one, so that worked out well for me. Okay, I said the upgrades add up to value. So I've got an article on Tech Radar. 7-core iPhone 17 upgrades you need to know about by Roland Moore Collier. And this was updated 3 days ago when it first came out. I mean, the phone came out. Apple standard phone has got a new design and some slick upgrades. I agree. Let's get rid of commercials. Right? Sometimes you have to do it twice. Try it again. And there we go. Okay. One of the biggest Apple events of the year, like to me, this was the biggest in years. The house that Steve Jobs built revealed the iPhone 17 series with the standard model getting a solid refresh, that's putting it mildly, to appeal to most people and aim for a spot on our best phones list. Every video I've seen says the best one to get from most people is the iPhone 17, and that's what I got. And while it's not enormously different to its predecessor, the iPhone 16, yeah, they still look alike, but big differences on the inside. There are more upgrades here than meet the eyes. Not the least of all is the standard iPhone finally has a 120 hertz display. So it'll adjust from 1 to 120 hertz depending, which is everybody's been looking for that, like as Brian said. So, uh, so let's get into them. So there's a listing of everything, but since we're going to go over everything, we don't have to go down the list. As always, the case with new iPhones, the iPhone 17 has got a chipset upgrade with the A19. And as you might expect, there's a boost in CPU and GPU power. The previous iPhone was no slouch, so I don't feel it needed a big CPU boost, but the increase in graphics should help some of the more advanced games iOS offers like Sniper Elite 4 and Hitman World of Assassination run smoother, which is good. The CPU has 6 cores with 2 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores. The 5-core GPU has support for hardware accelerated ray tracing, mesh shading, Metal FX upscaling, which I don't even know what that is. Who's in? Oh, Will is in here. What's up, brother?
What's going on, George?
How you doing?
I'm all right, at work.
Yeah, I'm sure. Um,
I
you, do you still have your Pixel?
do not, George.
You send it back. How long did you
I do
keep it?
not. 1 week.
1 week. Okay. I said to Elma, in a week or two, it'll be gone. And I
So
was
let me
right.
tell you what happened, George.
Go
So
ahead.
Google rubbed me the wrong way. So
Okay.
I had qualified for this promo, right? four hundred
Right.
dollars back on your Pixel if you buy it on 5. $400 back plus bill credits or whatever if you keep your 5 line, all that stuff
Right.
that they do. So long story short, when I go back to buy it,
Hmm.
the promo was gone. So I called
You're
Google. I said,
kidding.
listen, yeah. So I said, listen, I said, I qualify for this promo. Well, I want y'all to give it to me. They
Right.
give me this whole runaround and I'm not a ever customer. And I'm like, I am. So I attached them the emails showing
Right.
them like I bought the phone, I had 5 within the time y'all said, all this stuff. And
Right.
they went back and forth. So basically they didn't want to give me the extra $150 off, right?
Wow.
So that rubbed me the wrong way. So I'm telling them, he's like, you can return it and then buy it again. So I'm like, listen, by the time I do that and y'all refund my card and do all that, like either I'm not gonna want the phone no more or the promo is gonna be gone. Right.
Yeah, plus, they don't know your track record, so.
Yeah. So we went on for days. We went on for days. So
So did
anyway,
they finally give it to you?
no, they didn't.
Wow,
They
that
did not.
I can see why you got upset then.
That's why I put in our chat, with Mike. That's why I said they're playing with my money, like they were getting on my nerve. So
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah, yeah.
so then today I woke up and I said, you know what? I'm gonna get an iPhone 17 Pro Max.
Okay, so you got the
So
big one.
that's what I did.
I
Yeah.
got the plain one. And I'll be very happy with that.
Yeah, that is what I did, George.
Okay,
Um,
well that makes perfect sense to me, especially for you. And the fact that they uh chip give you such a hassle about the money, I don't blame you.
yeah, but I was and that's what a couple people told me that too. And I was kind of, me, it's hard for me to justify having 2 phones. So I was
Right.
trying to I was like, I could sell my iPhone and just be good with this one phone.
Yeah, you were
And
trying to
then
give them a break. I got to give you
I was
credit.
trying, George. I really
Yep.
was. I really was.
Now I'm with you 100% on this
And
one.
I said, y'all
That's just
really like,
wrong.
I told the guy, I said, I don't understand. Y'all are millions of dollars, and y'all are really making a big deal about this. Like I told him, I said, at this point, it's the principle. I
Yeah,
said, this
exactly.
doesn't make sense. Like
But
for
you said
real.
other people said the same thing, right?
But yeah, a couple people I told, they were like, yeah, send it back. You know what I mean? They were
Okay.
like, yeah, send it back, send it back. But
Okay.
I mean, you know me, I like the phone. I
I
did.
know you do.
But
I know.
then I'm
And to
like,
me, this is the best Pixel they've made yet.
yeah, it is. Hello.
Okay. All right.
Anybody's
I'm
name.
going to go back to my iPhone
Sorry. But
17.
I'm gonna leave your light on.
All right.
What'd you say, George?
I'm going back to my iPhone 17 article that I was halfway through, and this
Okay,
is
go
the
ahead.
one that I'm getting.
George, I'm gonna mute. I'm still here. I'll pop
Okay.
in when I can. All right.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. So now, where are we? Okay. So we went over the chip. So the next thing, now here's all the new features in the iPhone 17, which they did a great job here. A 120 hertz ProMotion display, which we discussed in the other article. It's taken a long time, but finally the standard iPhone has gotten a 120 hertz adaptive refresh rate ProMotion display, and that's what everybody wants it to be adaptive, which means it'll save you battery when it doesn't need to use the 120 hertz. When that fast refresh rate isn't needed, the display will crank down to 1 hertz. That should now give the phone a screen that can compete with those on the best Android phones. I agree. As an added bonus, Apple is using Ceramic Shield 2 glass, which promises 3 times improved scratch resistance to the display over its predecessor and should also be better at dealing with reflections in bright environments as it now has a 7-layer anti-reflective coating. Yeah, and also bumped up the to 3,000 nits too, so it should be way better outside. The display is also a little larger thanks to some thinner bezels, with it now coming in at 6.3 inches, and it also supports live activity and widgets on the lock screen. It's also better in outdoor use, according to Apple, as the peak brightness now tops out at 3,000 nits, which before it was 2,000, so that's a nice addition. New 48 megapixel Fusion camera system. So it's only got 2 cameras, but I think I don't need all 3. Apple has overhauled the rear camera system to now support 248 megapixel sensors in a vertical pill-like configuration. The bottom camera is the main one with uh, 26 millimeter focal length and an f1.16 aperture and sensor shift optical image stabilization. But it also serves as a telephoto camera with the two times optical zoom and a 52 millimeter focal length. Separate image pipelines means main and telephoto shot will be processes, I guess it should say processed separately, essentially allowing Apple to claim it offers two cameras in one. And that's why I'm thinking I'll be very satisfied with that. The second camera is a 48, and that's the one on top, ultra wide, one that now offers four times the resolution to the iPhone 16's ultra wide camera, so that's a lot better. And it has a 13 millimeter focal length, f.2.2 aperture, and a 12 megapixel one time macro photography function with a 26 millimeter focal length. That was a lot to get out of my mouth. Okay. Yeah, the selfie camera, a lot of people are thinking this is the big deal. And I think so too, because you don't have to turn your camera anymore. Apple has boosted the front facing camera to 18 megapixels with a wider field of view thrown in too. And this lets users take both landscape and portrait photos without needing to turn the phone horizontally, which is awesome. But the real upgrade comes in the form of the AI-powered center stage feature, which can it should say smartly, I think, and automatically expand the field of view, not file, to also rotate from portrait to landscape to better capture groups of people posing for a selfie snap. And if you watch them showing the example, the samples, they show more people coming in and it just adjusts to automatically fit them in. You don't even have to do anything. There's support for ultra stabilized video in 4K HDR, and users can now get this, record on the front and rear cameras simultaneously with the dual camera feature. I'm excited to try that. Better battery life. It says up to plus 8 hours video playback. That was versus the 16. Apple noted that the improved efficiency of the A19 chip over its predecessor means the iPhone 17 delivers all-day battery life. Of course, we'll be testing that. What that means in Apple's terms isn't clear, but with the ProMotion display, the iPhone 17 can offer 30 hours of video playback. That's really good. That's 8 more than the iPhone 16. And faster charging. Alongside the better battery life, the iPhone 17 offers faster wired charging, with it able to juice up to 50% charge in 20 minutes. But you'll need to use an optional high-wide USB-C power adapter like Apple's new 40-watt. Well, I have a 40-watt, 45. I have a couple of 45 watts, so I'm good. Dynamic power adapter with a 60-watt max. So that's
George,
what
they
I
finally
am
caught
getting.
up to Samsung and Android with that dual
Ex-
recording.
Exactly.
That's so old.
And with the ProMotion too. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, with all the Android phones, yeah.
yeah. So I'm very happy with mine. So but yeah, you like to have the best, don't you?
No, you know what it is? They don't have a so I tried, I don't know if you remember. Yeah, I tried I had tried to do a regular size iPhone. I tried with the
And
regular 16 and the battery. I couldn't make it. You know, my weekend job, I'm there for 16 hours. I couldn't make it.
that's right. Yeah.
So
So you didn't trust it. Okay.
so I couldn't, so I returned it and went back to the big one. Because I like the smaller size. So
Right, I know that, yeah. But you need that you need that extra battery, especially with your job on the weekend. So it makes perfect
yeah,
sense.
I don't like plugging in all the time. But I wish they had a smaller size. And a
Yeah.
part of me said to try the regular 17 Pro, but I was like, for what? Because I'll probably end up returning it. So
Yeah.
my plan is to sell, because I have the 16 Pro Max, and then I got the my wife's 15 Pro Max. So I'm gonna sell them,
Okay.
even if I get not to make no big money. So I'm gonna put them on
Right.
swap. I'll lowball myself, but it'll be better than nothing.
Exactly. Exactly.
just to
And I think
sell it
you're doing
quick
the right
and
thing for you. Yeah. So good for
mm,
you. So now is yours supposed to arrive by next week also, or what?
it said shipping was the 19th, I think, something like that. So
Yeah. Mine is saying it should arrive on the 19th, and my friend Steve in England, he said his is supposed to arrive on the 19th also. So
I get it
which
on
I
the
think it said
19th.
I think
Drop
it
on the
said
sale
arrived.
7th.
I didn't think it said ship. Let me check. Let me check again. Yeah, it says delivers Friday, September 19th. So it should
Okay, good.
arrive.
So
So
good.
that
That's
seems to
good.
be the default, which often means you're going to get it maybe a day or two earlier. So we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yep. So good for all of us.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go, and now we're going to get out of Apple for a few minutes. I'm going to go on to the next story. Google removes. Oh, wait a minute. Brian said, Brian said then offering more storage. No, them. I guess he meant them offering more storage is Apple. Very much so. Yeah, I think they knocked it out of the park this with this year's event and with this year's phones. Okay, next story. Google removes daily hub feature temporarily, and I was kind of looking forward to using it in the Pixel 10. Haven't even had a chance to use it yet, and they've removed it already, but it's supposed to come back. Let's see. Brian said they're making it already difficult for Will to keep the Pixel when he already went to it. Yeah, I mean they really screwed him this time, so I can't blame. Usually Mike and I can bust Will's chops, but not this time. This time Google was just. I mean, yeah, Google was just wrong this time. So I'm on Will's side for once. Okay, I'm going to Phone Arena for the next story. I couldn't believe they removed it before I even had a chance to use it. Google pulls extremely useful Pixel 10 feature to enhance its performance. That's the reason given. The Daily Hub feature gives you an overview of the day ahead and of the evening coming up. This is written by Alan Friedman, and it was published on September 9th, the same day as the Apple event. So let's drop into Reader View. Google has pulled a new feature that debuted on the Pixel 10 series called the Daily Hub. The AI-powered feature shows users an at-a-glance overview of their day. Instead of having to browse through several individual apps, all of the information needed can be found by taking a look at the Daily Hub. And the few people I saw in videos that actually used it before they took it away seemed to love it. When it returns, you'll be able to view it by swiping right from the home screen. As useful as the feature is, Google has temporarily stopped showing the feature so it can enhance and refine it. And they haven't put any word on when it'll be back. The Pixel 10's Daily Hub
That's what I
feature.
hate about Google, George.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you on this one. It's kind of aggravating. The Pixel 10's Daily Hub feature heads back to Google for some tweaking. The Daily Hub is an all-new AI-powered feature that is exclusive to the Pixel 10 series. When you get up in the morning, the app will help you meet the day with a good morning greeting followed by a brief look at current weather conditions and the temperature. So everything's kind of in one place, which is great. The Daily Hub will then show you some of the activities you have scheduled for the day. Near the bottom of the screen are some entertainment options that were curated for you, including selections from YouTube Shorts. At night, the Daily Hub will wish you good evening, tell you what the current weather conditions are like, and suggest streaming videos and podcasts for your entertainment. With the Daily Hub, you can avoid having to open any of the weather apps you've installed on your Pixel. You can also skip the calendar app and even Gmail as it highlights daily activities and will even show you some emails such as your bill. So it sounds pretty awesome. Text messages that are related to upcoming activities will also surface in the Daily Hub, which I think that sounds very useful. Near the bottom of the page are some rectangular prompts that are related to a particular topic under the Explore heading. These prompts feature the Gemini logo, indicating that the responses you get are generated by AI. Daily Help fits in with Google's desire to add features to Android help and to Android that helps users. Yeah, they don't take them away. Why is Google reworking the Daily Hub? In a statement, the company said, get this, to ensure the best possible experience on a Pixel, we're temporarily pausing the public preview. Oh, they said it was a preview of Daily Hub for users. Our teams are actively working to enhance its performance and refine the personalized experience. We look forward to reintroducing an improved Daily Hub when it's ready. Basically, they're not telling you anything. It's obvious that Google has high hopes for the feature, especially since it fits in perfectly with Google's plan to give Pixel users the information they need before they even know they need it. Yes, they give it back to us and then don't take it away again. uh, so there's what it looks like. There's the morning, there's the night. So it looks like it does combine all the information kind of nicely. So I'll be happy to use it when it gets back. This is the type of feature that I love. The Daily Hub is the kind of feature I love and is one that you are more apt to find on a Pixel than an iPhone. You wake up and your whole day is basically right in front of your eyes. As you can see here, that's pretty true. So kind of nice. You can see your weather, your schedule, entertainment curated just for you, and more. In a way, this is simply the Pixel's at a glance widget taken to the next level. That is another Pixel feature that I've always been a fan of. I've never even used it, and I meant to, and I just never got around to it. I dare say that if you use at a glance and found it to be a useful tool, you will enjoy using the Daily Hub too. At this point, it isn't clear when Google will be finished with the improvements, of course not, that it wants to make. I'd love to see the Daily Hub backported to the Pixel 6 series so I could use it with my Pixel 6 Pro. If not, I just might have to go digging around my couch for loose change so that I can buy a Pixel 10 Pro XL. Yeah, I hope he doesn't get screwed like you did, Will. Anyway, so it sounds like a feature we might all like if Google gives it back to us and doesn't take it away again. So, okay, on to the next story. Like I said, I came up with two stories following up from last week's story, but I'm probably just going to go through the top one. The European Union getting closer to making chat control law, and last week we had a chat control story about it, but it's getting closer now. This is solely about invading privacy. That's all it's about. The EU has never been closer to agreeing on the scanning of your private chats, but how did we get here? And that's by Chiara Castro, published yesterday. The Danish version, yeah, each country seems to be coming up with their own version. They're all trying to come up with a version that will pass. That's what it's about. The Danish version of chat control is thought to have the best chances of becoming law since 2022. That's how long they've been trying to push this thing through. So into reader view we go. Do it again. Can we do good this way? There we go. Okay, I thought the image was cool because it's got all these cameras looking at your phone. I thought that kind of says it all. On Friday, September 12th, that's today, EU Council members are asked to share their final position on the controversial child sexual abuse scanning bill. So they asked to share their final position. This is not passing the bill, and they can still change their mind until next month, I believe. It's been a long ride, started in May 2022 when the EU Commission first unveiled its child sexual abuse regulation proposal. The goal is ambitious: to make the online environment safer for kids, so they say, by preventing the sharing of child sexual abuse material. Yet, the proposed system for how to do that, meaning the scanning of private messages, and that's what it's all about, has sparked a strong debate among political ranks and the tech industry alike. 3 years after failing to reach an agreement, the Danish presidency unveiled the latest iteration of what's become known as chat control on July 1st, 2025. Like I say, I think 3 or 4 other countries have tried to come up with one. The Danish, this is just their turn, really. For the first time, lawmakers appear to be close to getting the majority of countries on board. At the time of writing, 15 countries already support the proposal, 8 are against, and only 4 are still undecided. But even since this article came out, Germany has already come out against it. So they may end up having as many countries against it as for it. The Danish proposal introduces new obligations for all messaging services operating in Europe to scan users' chats, even if they're encrypted. Yeah, well, that's because they're going to do it before you get to the encryption. I used to work in encryption, so I have some expertise in this. In the search for both known and unknown CSAM material. This is basically the same thing Apple was going to do a few years ago, so they got slapped down by the public and they changed their mind. And that'll be in the next story also. Crucially, the mandatory scanning is expected to occur directly on the device before, that's the key, messages get encrypted. Yeah, because once something's encrypted, nobody can read it, no matter what you do. Targeting shared URLs, pictures, and videos. Only government, get this, only governments and military accounts are excluded from the scope of the bill. So they want to read everything we do and see everything we do, but not include themselves. While acknowledging some of the improvements the Danish version has made, on Tuesday, September 9th, over 500, yeah, and my next story had this, and then I realized most of the next story was in here. Over 500 cryptography scientists and researchers signed a letter to warn the EU Council of the risk of agreeing to the proposal in its current form. I'm with them. This is the third time since 2022 that experts have urged against mandatory chat scanning. So how did we get here and what's at stake? 3 years of failed attempts. Let's hope there's another one. As mentioned earlier, the EU Council has so far failed to craft a bill that could attract the necessary majority for submission to the Parliament for negotiations. Over a period of more than 3 years, various proposals have been made as presidency after presidency. They've been taking turns country by country, attempted to find a compromise that could work for most countries. As per its first version, all messaging software providers would be required to perform indiscriminate scanning, they want everything scanned, of private messages to look for CSAM. The backlash was strong, with the European Court of Human Rights proceeding to ban all legal efforts to weaken the encryption. So even the European Court is against this law of secure communications in Europe. In June 2024, Belgium, yeah, it was Belgium's turn, proposed a new, more compromising text to target only shared photos, and that's kind of what Apple tried to do, videos and URLs with users' permission. In February 2025, Poland, it was their turn, tried to find a better compromise by making encrypted chat scanning voluntary and classified as prevention. But of course, if you make it voluntary, they're not going to get what they want because they're not going to be able to make everybody do it. Fast forward to July 2025, Denmark reintroduced chat control as a top legislative priority on its first day of presidency. So they're serious about this. And keep in mind, this is probably going to end up everywhere if they get this through. While keeping the Belgian approach of limiting scanning to URLs and media files, many experts feel that the text goes back to where it started. It reintroduces the indiscriminate scanning of unknown CSAM material too. So they want everybody's. That's most likely why former MEP for the German Pirate Party and the digital rights jurist Patrick Breyer deemed the Danish proposal the more radical version so far. Yeah, because they want everybody's. Warning against the intrusive and unreliable scanning that the law will create. Other experts who talked to TechRadar also agree that as it stands, the regulation is too far-reaching and likely ineffective. Yeah, and once you let them in, there'll be others who get in, including the bad guys. Defining between consensual and non-consensual abuse material is challenging. In fact, and even AI detection won't help against false positives. Also, limiting the scanning to a certain part of the private messages could allow criminals to easily bypass detention. And you can bet they're smarter than the politicians who want this to go through, ultimately creating a false sense of security for both parents and children. All of this while irredeemably breaking encryption for all. As Bart Prino, a Belgian cryptographer, professor at Leuven University and the signatory of the September 9 open letter, explains, while the Danish proposal mentions the commitment to preserve end-to-end encryption protections. Yeah, right. Because if you do it before you even encrypt it, then you haven't preserved anything. That technology simply does not, yeah, you can't have it both ways. Either you read it before it's encrypted or you let it be encrypted. They want it both ways, and that technology is impossible. Lawmakers try to deny it, but encryption means that only the sender and receiver can see the message, because when you encrypt something, you're including a key. That key goes to the person receiving it, and only that person can open it using that key. If anybody has looked at it even before getting encrypted, then you destroy the value offered by the encryption, Preneel told TechRadar. And that's exactly true. Why breaking encryption is a bad idea. Encryption refers to the technical infrastructure that scrambles our online communication to prevent unauthorized access. Encrypted messaging apps like Signal or WhatsApp, secure email providers like ProtonMail and Tutor, and the best VPN services all rely on end-to-end encryption to ensure our communications remain private, which is what they don't want, between the sender and receiver end-to-end. Law enforcement bodies, however, have long argued that this level of protection, they call it protection, is an obstacle during investigations and have been pushing to create an encryption backdoor in and out of the EU for years. Digital rights experts, photographers, and technologists keep fighting back against this idea, good, though warning that a backdoor could cause more harm than good. Like the bad guys aren't going to find that backdoor. That's ridiculous. German email provider Tutor is ready to drag the EU into court if the controversial Danish CSAM scanning bill becomes law. We will not stand by while the EU destroys encryption. Good for them, says Matthias Pfau, CEO of Tutor Mail. Talking to TechRadar, Director of Government Affairs and Advocacy at the Internet Society, Caleb Vogue explains that the proposed client-side scanning system would not only violate people's right to privacy and confidentiality, but also inevitably introduce new vulnerabilities that both law enforcement and cybercriminals will be able to exploit. Let me get a quick drink of my tea. This is a big threat to national security in the EU, a weakness that the EU should not be creating at all, said Vogue. I agree. Given the current geopolitical situation, we think governments should really be encouraging more encryption, not trying to weaken it or undermine it. Hear, hear. He's certainly not alone in feeling this way. Both the Swedish Armed Forces and the Netherlands Intelligence Agency have stressed that circumventing encryption creates too great a national security risk, arguing that hostile nations would exploit new technologies to attack European users, not just nations, the bad guys in general. Yet, while the Netherlands is currently opposing the bill in the Council, Sweden is among the supporters, but their armed forces is against it. What's very telling of the Danish proposal is that the government and military accounts are exempt from scanning, exactly. So clearly, lawmakers understand there's a security risk, but they think the risk is acceptable for the public, but not acceptable for themselves. Bulgaria, totally true. Beyond national security, concerns include the potential for indiscriminate surveillance against all EU citizens. As Vogue puts it, if breaking encryption is like a letter going to the post office and someone rips it open to read what's inside, then client-side scanning is like someone reads the letter over your shoulder as you write it. Crucially, once the system is created, it's very easy to expand it to scan for anything you want. Germany, the deciding factor. And since this came out, Germany has already come out against it, which is good. Friday, today, is the day EU members need to share their final positions on the Danish chat control proposals. Another meeting with the EU Justice Minister is also set for October 14th, so we really have at least until then. But that's just a formal sign-off with the country's positions expected to remain unchanged. Expected to remain unchanged, which means people could change their mind. Brian is saying they're making it already difficult. Oh, that's, you already read that one. Brian says maybe in 3-4 more years, the smaller iPhone Pro battery will be good enough for. Okay, good. Okay. If successful, the SAW bill will finally land in the European Parliament to be discussed as part of the trilogue negotiations alongside the EU Council and Commission. Despite the list of countries opposing the law growing, which is still growing, support for chat control remains strong, with 15 countries supporting the proposal, including France, Italy, and Spain. Germany has been thought to be a deciding factor, though, and they've made their decision today, which made chat control's critics worried for a long time. The previous government was indeed pro-encryption, seeking to make encryption a legal right at home good, while strongly opposing mandatory scanning on the block. Good. Yet the new administration is giving very mixed messages, and no one can definitely say what's going to happen on Friday. Well, Germany has come out against it. Vogue from the Internet Society told Tech Radar. It comes as a welcome development for chat control's critics, news that both Germany and Luxembourg joined the opposition on the eve of the crucial September 12th meeting. So now Luxembourg, too, is against it. This brings the total number of countries opposing the bill to 8, adding to Austria, Belgium, Czech Republic, Finland, Netherlands, and Poland. Only 4 EU members, Estonia, Greece, Romania, and Slovenia, are still undecided at the time of writing. I think Romania and Slovenia are going to go against it. That's just a guess on my part. What's certain, however, is that chat control is far from being the only proposal threatening encryption protections in the EU. Yeah, I didn't know there was another one. Commenting on this point, Prino told Tech Radar there is enormous pressure to get access to encrypted data. It's not the only CSAM case. There's also the Protect EU document. I didn't even know about that one. That's the real debate, and I think that CSAM is used as an excuse to open the door. So he thinks this is just the start. So hopefully they'll get this defeated, but I think this is a story we should stay on and keep up with, because it gets through in the EU, and Britain already has their one, taking away everybody's privacy. It's going to spread like wildfire. And it doesn't matter whether you live in a free country or a country that has, where everybody's oppressed. Every government on earth wants us not to be able to have privacy. So I have one more story. Now, just so you guys know, the reason I included this story, I figured, okay, I've done a video praising Apple for this week. I told you guys I was praising Apple for the ordering process today, and I figured if somebody is protesting them right outside their office the day of the event, I should report on that. Look at the size of that banner. Look at the people holding it. That thing is huge. They're on the street. So I put this in just to show that somebody is protesting them. I disagree with the protesters in this case. I'm more on Apple's side. Child abuse advocates protest Apple event. And they've been doing this for 2 years. I did not know that. So this was on Mastable. So let's go take a look. Apple's iPhone 17 launch met with protests by child safety advocates. The tech giant has been accused of failing to stop the spread of child sexual abuse material. And as we go through it, I'll explain why I'm on Apple's side in this one. This was obviously on September 9th, the day of the event, because they were right outside of Apple's property. So, let's go to review. A massive banner, which you just saw, was unfurled outside Apple's Cupertino headquarters on Tuesday morning with the smiling face of CEO Tim Cook welcoming visitors to the company's California campus. But the message of the starkly monochromatic decoration wasn't a boast about the new iPhone upgrades about to be announced, instead reading, "New iPhone still spreading child sexual abuse." And I disagree with that. Apple is not spreading it, but you'll see why they say that. The image was an act of civil disobedience by the HEAT Initiative, that's the organization, a tech accountability network of experts, parents, and youth advocates who have made it their mission to pressure big tech into taking more aggressive action against predatory behavior and threats to youth safety across their platforms. And nobody wants the predatory behavior, but I don't think this qualifies. Mashable reached out to Apple for comment about the HEAT Initiative action, but hasn't yet received a response. Apple previously responded to accusations that its products enable child sexual abuse material. I disagree. The company was targeted in a related class action lawsuit filed late last year. Apple stated at the time that it takes CSAM seriously and has instituted additional guardrails to prevent its spread. Cook and Apple's top executives know child sexual abuse is hosted and traded from iCloud, but they refuse to implement common sense detection and removal practices that are standard across the tech industry. I disagree with that, said HEAT Initiative CEO Sarah Gardner in a press statement. That means survivors of child sexual abuse are forced to relive the worst cringes imaginable over and over because of Apple's negligence and inaction. Since Apple won't act today, we did, and our message to Tim Cook is that we will not rest until he stops putting profits over the lives and safety of children and survivors. And I don't think Apple's doing that at all, just my opinion. The timing aligns with Apple's annual product-centered September event, which will see the company debuting its new line of devices and iOS 26 upgrades on Tuesday. So this was written just before the event, I guess. The HEAT Initiative has spent the last 2 years pressing Apple to enforce stronger protections against the alleged, and the key is alleged, storage and dissemination. I don't see how they're disseminating it, though, of child sexual abuse materials through the company's, get this, iCloud storage platform, with the belief that device manufacturers should also be held accountable for the youth mental health crisis and other safety failures. In late 2021, Apple announced that it was pausing, then axing the plans to launch an iCloud scanning tool. Yeah, and we were all against that, and Apple
Now, George,
gave
wait,
up.
but I'm confused. When
Go
they
ahead.
tried to fix the problem, people were against it. So how can they be mad
Yeah,
now? You know what I mean?
yeah. The problem is
Well, they
Apple
tried to
tried to
help
do
fix
that.
the problem.
I
Yeah.
was with the people who were against it, and I was glad when Apple decided to kill it. But now this group has come up since then.
Hey,
So
but that's what I'm
this group
saying.
has been around.
They can't have it both ways. You got to pick a
Exactly.
side.
And the reason I
If either
disagree
you
with
want
it,
privacy and all of that, or you want
right,
them to do what they can. Because if they would have did that thing, it might not have
right.
prevented all of it, but it would have helped. But
Yeah, but
people
it
would have been
also would
saying
have,
their
we would have all
privacy would have
given
been
up our
invaded.
privacy.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And what their premise is that all the people who have iCloud accounts, in other words, these people are paying for their iCloud storage. They're putting stuff in iCloud, and this group wants Apple to go through their stuff in their out. Well, that's their private data. That's not Apple's data. So I agree with
Yeah.
Apple on this one. So anyway, I'm going to stop now, but that's what this whole thing is about, and I'm on Apple's side this time, and I think Apple is taking the right stance. So, but I just thought I should include it because the protest was out there. So
Yeah, that was, you know. So wait a minute. What is not to be funny, but so what is what's the name have in place? Do they have something in place for that?
who?
Like
I
Google?
don't know. I
Google.
don't know anybody that no Google or any. I don't know anybody that's scanning anybody's iCloud stuff to go to see what's in there.
Yeah, so that's
So
what I'm saying. So what is like
it's
why is
like it's
Apple taking the brunt of it?
I don't know. It's like they're singling out Apple. I guess because
Yeah.
Apple tried to do this themselves and then decided not to do it. Maybe that's the reason. So like I said, I'm on Apple's side in this, and I was so pleased with them this week. But I figured, okay, let me put this in here and let people know about it at least. So I did that. And I thought I was being fair. I couldn't believe the size of that banner, though. So
Yeah.
got through everything. So hopefully by next week, both of us will have our phones and we'll be able to tell people about them to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's Ted. Oh, didn't you, Ted? Glad you're here. I wish you would have come in. Let's see. Ted said, start out. Everybody does that through Google and Microsoft. They scan what's on their servers. Do they? How do we know that? If that's true, I did not know that. So there's your Ted is saying that they're already do it on Google
They
and
do. I never
Microsoft.
heard that before.
Me neither. So if that's true, I don't know. Ted says it's kind of weird that Apple doesn't.
Yeah,
Okay.
but when they tried, they got, you know.
Yeah, they got slapped down, and when they tried, I was against them doing it, and so I ended up agreeing with what they did, which was backing out of it. So anyway, I just thought I should include that. Ted, I wish you would have come in here, but hopefully you'll come in next week. Well, I was glad you were here, and I'm really feel bad that you actually tried to keep to keep the Pixel, and they screwed you out of money, which was
I
insane.
really did. I really
Yeah,
tried. I was actually, I was using it and everything. Well, you saw me in the chat.
right, exactly.
It was kind of disappointing because I'm like, but in the,
Yeah.
I wish you could have seen the emails because I literally sent them the emails with their terms and conditions and everything,
Well,
and
I mean, they're trying to screw
they would
you
like
out of
kind of, well, yeah,
$150 that they
they
owe
were
you.
double, they were double talking me. Like he was like, well, you have to
Exactly.
be. He was like, you're a new customer because, and I said, I'm not. I'm
A
literally
new
showing you.
customer.
I'm like, I'm showing you
How
that.
many pixels have you owned?
Well, he was saying I was a new customer to Fi, but I was showing him, look, I activated Fi in June. So how am I a new customer? Like it
Exactly.
don't make sense. Like it was annoying.
Yeah, I can see
Mm.
where it would be. So I think you did the right thing this time. So does
Yeah,
Mike
it
know
was
that you
annoying.
sent it back
Yeah,
because of
yeah. I
all this?
talked to him
Okay.
this morning. He was the
Okay,
one that
good.
told me to do it.
Okay, good. Good. Yeah, but
But
well,
he
both
got
of us agree with you on this one.
his I think he got a 10 Pro. Did you see the pictures he posted?
I don't
He
know.
got a 10 Pro. I
I can't
told him I don't know
remember
why
now.
he got the small one, but that's the one he got.
Yeah, I got the regular Pixel 10 because it was all I needed. So I have this. I have the smallest of the Pixels, and I have the smallest of the iPhones. So I think I'm going to be pretty happy. But I think Apple did the best job of anybody this time around.
Yeah, it was actually I wasn't expecting much, but it was definitely
Yeah, like I said, I haven't been this excited since the iPhone 11, and I had the 11, I had the 13, I had the 15, but I think Apple just knocked it out of the park this time. Let's see.
yeah, they really
Ted also said, like Apple was willing to scan people's phones, but they're not going to scan their own servers. Yeah, because that's what they were trying to do before, scan people's phones, and that's what they backed off. He also said it's a very known fact. It's how Google gets new features. Okay, did not know that. Anyway, so so Ted Will had already sent back his Pixel because Google tried to screw him out of money, and he was absolutely right. Mike and I both agree. But he ordered the iPhone Pro Max, right?
yeah, yeah.
17 Pro Max. I ordered the regular 17, and we should be getting them by Friday. I guess around the world it's kind of the same because my one of my subscribers in England, he ordered the same one I ordered, and he's getting his by Friday also. So,
George, what do you think of that live translation?
oh, I think it's awesome. I'm going to try it. But I haven't even done the translation on the Pixel 10 yet, which I
I was
want
about
to
to
do
say,
with
so how would
Eleanor.
it, do you have the buds, George?
Which I have the Buds Pro 2.
Yeah, so you're supposed to be able to do it, right? I
With the
want to
Pro
see how the
2,
pixels works. Yeah, they're supposed to have it too.
I didn't realize they had it too. Well, if they do, I'll be testing them out. But like I said, I got to get to it with the Pixel, and then I've got to get to it with the Buds if they do it. So I will be trying to get
Yeah.
that sometime during the week.
Well, definitely let me know when you put out that video, George.
All right, sir. All right. Well, I'm very glad you were here, and thank you all of you guys who came in. I'm glad Ted got in here at the end. I just wish you'd get online next
Right.
time. But I hope you
All right,
guys have a
George.
wonderful and a very
All right.
blessed week. And let's always remember we all do better when we love each other. And of course, I have to go out with the song. Come on, people now. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. See you next week, folks.